Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're embarking on a really quite profound journey, I think. We've got some remarkable material here that really challenges how we typically think about, loneliness, strength, and maybe even transformation itself. So our source for this deep dive, it's this really evocative transcript from a YouTube video. It's titled, When You Have No One But the Universe. And it offers these deep insights into what happens when our usual supports fade away. It suggests this isn't just loss, but maybe a surprising path to clarity and inner power. So our mission today really is to unpack the wisdom embedded, to explore why these moments of, seeming isolation would actually be these potent opportunities for growth, and to understand what it really means to connect with your deepest self when everything else kind of vanishes. We've ever felt that chill of solitude maybe, or wondered what's beyond your comfort zone? No. You're in for quite an illuminating deep dive. Let's get into it. Okay, so this journey, it starts with a pretty radical reframe. The source challenges our whole idea of loneliness.
It suggests being alone with the universe. Well, it isn't. It calls it a sacred space where illusions fall away and your true power reveals. Quite a statement.
It's a massive shift in perspective, isn't it? Right off the bat. It posits that this state is actually a return to your original state. Limitless, sovereign, and aligned with a higher order. Now, this higher order, you could think of it as, your deepest intuition, or maybe the natural flow of life, even a spiritual truth for some. The main point is, it suggests our inherent state is one of, connection, not struggle or dependence.
Right. So instead of being left behind or forsaken, the material suggests you're being positioned. That's the word it used. The universe, it says, strips away the noise to let you hear the signal. That sounds less like abandonment and more like, a deliberate clearing out, almost strategic.
Exactly. Strategic is a good word for it. And this makes me wonder, for you listening, have you ever had that moment when everything else just faded and you were left with this profound clarity, or maybe a sense of purpose, even if it felt maybe uncomfortable at first? Because the material, it definitely doesn't shy away from the difficulty. It talks about solitude as a heavy cloak. Yeah,
it really doesn't sugarcoat it. Describing it as the world has walked out and locked the door behind it, it paints this picture of being surrounded by echoes, fading relationships, weakening supports. It acknowledges that pain.
Definitely. And this unraveling, it's not always some big dramatic event, right? The material points out that loneliness often builds slowly, like fog gathering on a window.
That's a great image.
Blurring what used to be clear. It's that subtle drift, which I think makes it incredibly relatable for many of us. That gradual sense of things just slipping away.
And here's where it gets, I think, really interesting. The text claims, it says, it's not always the weak who end up alone with the universe. It is often the strong. The ones who gave too much, carried too many, and finally ran out of space to carry themselves.
That just flips the common narrative, doesn't it? That solitude can actually come from immense giving.
It absolutely does. It turns it on its head. And if we connect this to that bigger picture idea, it suggests the universe steps in not to punish,
but to intervene. It clears the room, removes the noise, and says, now let's find out who you really are. It's like an invitation, maybe, or perhaps a sort of divine push to confront that question you just can't avoid anymore. Who am I when no one is watching?
Yeah.
It's about stripping away all those external identities we build up.
And that deep awakening, the material, really highlights this. It could not happen in comfort or in a room full of affirmation. It needed the void, the stillness, the stripping away, which strongly implies that discomfort isn't just some unpleasant side effect. It's actually a necessary catalyst. You need it for the growth.
It's a powerful case for necessary discomfort, absolutely. And what's fascinating, too, is the perspective on loss itself. It says everything that walked out of your life did so because it no longer had a role in where you're headed. The text actually claims that the universe does not waste people, nor does it remove them without cause. Some departures are deliverance in disguise. It's not about blaming anyone, really, but seeing maybe a deeper purpose unfold.
So it's suggesting that those moments, feeling misunderstood or unseen, overlooked, they weren't just random. They were maybe instrumental. It says those chapters pushed you here, nudging you toward the only relationship that cannot fracture, the one between your soul and the source. And this source, it feels like it's presented less as a religious thing, necessarily. More like an internal wellspring of truth, that unshakable foundation within you.
Exactly. And the idea of loneliness acting as a mirror is also, I think, incredibly profound. It shows you where you've been leaking your light, maybe by, molding yourself around being needed.
Or confusing strengths with never needing help.
Precisely. Mistaking strength for invincibility. So what it's really saying is these periods, they force you to see where you've been giving your power away so you can reclaim it. This whole unraveling, then, it's not to break you, but to bring you back to your essence.
Okay. this path, it isn't just about quiet contemplation. As the material suggests that really deep growth often demands something more intense. It describes it very vividly as a refining fire. Not for destruction, it says, but for purification. Like ore placed into a furnace, your soul enters into a state where everything untrue is burned away.
Yeah, that's powerful imagery. And it definitely isn't gentle. It's described as fire meeting metal. But the text also reassures us it's not the kind of suffering that leaves you bitter. It's the kind that leaves you clean. Roles dissolve, attachments melt away, identities based on what others think, they just lose their grip.
They burn off.
Exactly. It's about stripping away everything that isn't authentically you.
So it's saying, in this fire, you don't actually lose yourself. Which is maybe what we fear. Instead, you find the version of yourself that was always there, buried beneath layers of survival. The pain of shedding all that. That teaches you far more than comfort ever could.
It really does. And if we look at the sort of broader implications here, the universe is not cruel in this process. It is precise. That's a key line. What truly falls apart isn't your life, necessarily.
It's the illusion.
It's your illusion of control. And that gets replaced by this unshakable steadiness, which, raises a pretty important question for you, the listener. Yeah. Are you willing to endure that burning, to really emerge transformed?
Right, because after the heat of that fire, the material introduces this really powerful concept, surrender. It says, real power begins where control ends. It's not about defeat, it clarifies, but alignment.
Which is such a fascinating paradox of strength, isn't it? Because the world often equates power with dominance, right? Pushing through, winning at all costs.
Yeah, forcing things.
Exactly. But the universe, according to this text, defines power very differently. True power is present, just standing there empty of resistance and full of... It's really about letting go of what you think you need to control.
It reminds me of that line, when you stop fighting the river and let it carry you.
Yeah.
You realize it was never trying to drown you, it was trying to teach you how to breathe.
Yes.
This is what the Source calls sacred intelligence. Trusting something bigger than just your own logic or your effort.
And there's immense strength in that letting go. It's not passive resignation, though.
Yeah.
It's consciously releasing the burden of self-sufficiency, that feeling you have to do it all alone. And that allows you to lean into this far more expansive current that, it says, uplifts and aligns. It means your soul becomes light again.
Light, not insignificant.
Not insignificant, but light as in unburdened, free from that weight of carrying everything yourself.
Okay, so as surrender becomes this new foundation, something even more profound starts to emerge. Grace. The Source describes it beautifully, saying it seeps through the cracks left by the fire, fills the spaces exposed by surrender. But what exactly is this grace they're talking about here?
Well, in this context, grace isn't passive. It's not just, unearned favor. It's presented as an active, healing presence, something that steps right into your imperfection. It doesn't wait for perfection. It arrives precisely because of imperfection.
Yeah.
It finds those broken edges, not to smooth them over, but to inhabit them with presence. It's like an active living force that meets you right where you are.
And what's so striking is that this grace, it doesn't say, get better first.
No.
It just says, I'm here, not after you've healed, but while you're still bleeding.
Yes.
Not once you're back on your feet, but while you're still crawling.
Yeah.
It's just unconditional support right in your most vulnerable state.
Absolutely. And if we think about what this means for your life, right, for you listening, the material suggests that what were once your cracks, the failures, the rejections, the grief, they become entry points not for despair, but for divine architecture. That's the phrase it uses.
Divine architecture.
Yeah. Grace fills these gaps, making what once embarrassed you actually shine. It becomes your witness. It's about finding strength and real beauty in your most difficult experience. It reframes the pain.
And where grace settles, the Source says, structure begins. So those cracks, they're not weaknesses anymore. They become blueprints for something more enduring. It's about more than just healing. You are literally being rebuilt from the inside out.
It's this hidden process, isn't it? Described like how the roots of a tree dig deeper in stillness, which means you're not being delayed, you are being deepened.
I like that. Not delayed, deepened.
Yeah. Every silent night of questioning is being etched into the framework of who you are becoming. It's this profound internal restructuring. It takes time. It takes quiet.
And this deep patient becoming. It cultivates an unshakable architecture of selfhood. What's built in that secret space, the source says, eventually echoes in public. You'll walk into spaces later, not trying to prove your worth, but radiating what was built in silence.
And that leads to this quiet confidence, the kind that just settles into your bones. You're not out there seeking recognition anymore. You're simply being.
Right.
You don't have to preach peace. You just emit it. You don't chase purpose. You are it. Your presence itself speaks volumes. No words needed.
So the ultimate outcome described here, it's incredibly profound. You no longer move just to prove something. You move to serve. Your ego gets replaced by this vision rooted in alignment. And when storms come up, what frightens others now calms you. Why?
Because you know the source and you trust the process. You've been through the fire. This kind of real authority, it comes from endurance, doesn't it? From choosing to stay when walking away seemed easier.
Yeah.
It's character, it's integrity, it's wisdom that's born from wrestling, not from reading.
Not from a book.
Exactly. The strength you embody, born from that whole internal journey, it just becomes unmissable. People feel it.
And maybe the most compelling insight for you, the listener, is this. You are prepared not just for elevation, but for impact.
Yes.
You become an anchor for others who feel like they might not make it.
And you don't even need to fix them, necessarily. That's not the point. Your presence, just your quiet strength that tells them that healing is possible, that becoming is possible, and most of all, that walking with nothing but the universe is not the end.
The beginning.
It is the beginning of everything. It's a beacon of hope, really, born from lived experience.
So, okay, what does all this mean for you, for us? This deep dive into when you have no one but the universe. It really gives us this powerful new lens, doesn't it? For viewing those moments of solitude, of challenge.
It really does. It suggests these aren't times of weakness or being abandoned at all, but they're actually sacred opportunities for profound transformation, for shedding what doesn't serve us anymore, and for connecting with an inner strength and maybe a grace that just transcends whatever's happening externally.
Yeah, the material really highlights that true power. It isn't about control, is it? Or external validation. It's about surrender and that deep, quiet work of self-rebuilding. It's about kind of letting the universe chisel you into the person who can actually hold more truth, more purpose.
And if you find yourself in that quiet, sometimes lonely space, the message here is pretty clear. You are not forgotten. You are being refined.
So maybe consider this. If the most profound parts of who we are, if they're built in silence and in fire, what potential for growth are we maybe unknowingly avoiding just by constant seeking comfort or, distraction? Something to think about. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and maybe keep trusting the process.